Namaste everyone, my name is Vasundhara Talware and welcome to the Valmiki Jayanti, which is today, the full moon day in the month of Ashwin, and it falls on the 31st of October 2020. And it is today that Maharishi Valmiki was born, and he is known to be the very first poet of Sanskrit literature because he is the first ever to have drafted a shloka in Sanskrit. And do you know where that is? You can find that shloka in the Ramayana. Yes, Maharishi Valmiki is the one who wrote the Ramayana, starting with this first ever shloka. And do you know what the story about this first ever shloka is? Well, there's an interesting story about why and how Valmiki Rishi wrote the Ramayana, starting with this first verse. The story goes that he was born back in 500 BC, and in spite of being born in a Brahmin family, he fell prey to bad company and therefore eventually became a dacoit. As he was living the life of a dacoit over many years, one fine day, Narada Muni, another sage, passed by him. And back in those days, Maharishi Valmiki was not known as Maharishi Valmiki. He was a mere Ratnakar. So when Narad Muni passed by Ratnakar the dacoit, he said words of wisdom and asked Ratnakar to leave what he was doing, which is dacoity, and become a good person and do some penance. The words of the sage Narad Muni fell on his ears like music and transformed him. There was one thing that he wanted to do was offload all the sins that he had committed so far. So he goes to his family and says that he wants to leave all that he was doing and start anew, and asks his family whether they will share the sins that he has been doing for all these years. His wife, his children, all of them said, no. Why should we share your sins? You went ahead and troubled people. We were fine with whatever you were providing us, but we do not wish to share the sins that you have committed. Well, that was it. Ratnakar left the house and went into deep penance and spent his time in worshipping Lord Rama. As years and years passed, while he sat in deep penance, it is said that ants started making an ant hill over him, and he still didn't budge. He kept on, and which is why he became the sage Valmiki, which literally means an anthill, and therefore became a nobleman. So how did he write the first shloka? Well, once he had become a sacred sage, he was taking a stroll in the forest. And in the forest, when he was looking around, he saw some beautiful birds, and two of them especially that caught his attention. They were singing and chirping and making some pleasant noise. And soon enough, he saw one arrow hit one bird and fall prey to death. And soon enough, the other bird couldn't live without his partner, and he too died. This enraged Valmiki, and he cursed the hunter. And this curse took a form of a Sanskrit shloka. However, after cursing the hunter, he regretted the act. That's when Lord Brahma appeared in front of him and said that he had committed a noble act. He just had created the very first verse of the many more verses that he was about to write in Ramayana. There's another story which goes that Maharishi Valmiki, when he was not Maharishi Valmiki but Ratnakar, had met Lord Rama when Lord Rama was in exile in the forest, and when Ratnakar was busy in his penance. Maharishi Valmiki is also known to have rescued Ma Sita when she was banished by Lord Rama. He provided her shelter in his ashram, where she gave birth to her two twins, Lava and Kusha. And during their childhood, Maharishi Valmiki became their instructor and taught them the Ramayana that he had written, which contains 24,000 shlokas and 7 kandas. Did you know that this day of Ashwin, the full moon day, is dedicated to Maharishi Valmiki for his insurmountable contribution to Indian literature? He is the first ever poet and therefore is also known as the Adikavi. He is the only person in ancient India to be a scholar in 2 languages, Sanskrit and Tamil. There is a community called the Valmiki community which considers Maharishi Valmiki as their ancestor. His first disciples were Lord Rama's 2 sons, Lava and Kush. There's a temple dedicated to him in Thiruvanmiyur in Chennai, which is about 1300 years old. Valmiki Jayanti is also called the Pragat Divas. And on this day, huge processions are carried out by his devotees, and these processions are called the Shobha Yatra. Isn't that amazing to know who he was, what he's done for all of us? And I hope you thoroughly enjoyed listening to all that I had to share about Maharishi Valmiki. May we celebrate this day this year and every year and learn from the Ramayana that he's so lovingly written for all of us. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so for much amazing content coming your way in the future. Please subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button right there, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Love you.